Hello everyone, welcome back to Jacqs Crafts. Thank you for joining me today. I wanted to share a memory decks card and mini album that I created, and this was inspired by Bambidearr, and I will have her link down below. She came up with this idea. It is fabulous and I loved it, and I had to create it. And she does have a video, but even she admits it is not the best video, so I decided to create this and let you guys see how to create this as well. So let's get started. For this memory decks, I'm going to use Willow Lane by Maggie Holmes, and I'm going to cut a decorative piece 5.5 by 6. The next thing we'll do is put that in our scoreboard, and we're going to score at 1 1/4. Flip this all the way around, score at 1 1/4 again. Flip around once, scoring at 2 3/8. Flip once more all the way around and score at 2 3/8. So let's go ahead and burnish all of the score lines that we have here. And it's going to end up creating like a little box. These are going to fold in, and then this will be, you know, the back side, and here is the front. Now, an optional piece that you can do is take this to your sewing machine and sew it. I sewed 3 blocks across. Now, they're not going to see the bottom. These 2 pieces are going to be tabs. This is going to be back, and it's going to get glued to your the memory decks holes. So they're really not going to see it. You could, now that I think about it, you probably could sew here. They will see part of it. But I chose not to sew here. And these 2 sides are going to be tucked under. So really you only need to do the 3 blocks across, whichever is going to be your front. That's where I sewed across with the gold thread. The next thing that we're going to do is for these little blocks in the center here on each side, we're going to cut straight across and then at an angle. So you're just cutting out a little sliver. So it'll look something like that. And do the same thing on the other side. Like that. Now you can use the adhesive of your choice. I'm going to use wet glue and put it on. We're going to fold these tabs in. Put wet glue on the outside of it. Oops. I'm just going to do one side for now. We're going to fold up the back end and place it over that tab, square it up, and press and hold. Use your bone folder to make sure it's adhered down. Okay, see, it's all squared. And we'll repeat that on this side. Again, bringing the back side up to the tab, squaring that off. And pressing down. Now I did have a little pencil mark there so I would know where to sew. I'm just going to erase that. Not really going to be able to see it, but I know it's there. Okay, now what we're going to do is add glue to the outside of these little tabs there. And we'll take the front of the box that we're creating, putting this flap over it, and squaring that off. So it will look like that when we're done, and we'll repeat that on this side. Fold over and square off. And there is our little box. Next, we'll need to create a handle that goes around and creates this into a basket. If you have double-sided scrapbook paper that you're using, then you're only going to need 2 pieces that are 1/2 inch by 5. I have a white background on my paper that I'm using, so I doubled this up to 1 inch, scored it in the middle at 1/2 inch, and I'm going to fold this over and glue this down. I'm actually going to go sew this around, and then I can use that as my handle. Okay, so I went and sewed these. I don't know if you'll be able to tell or not. And what I'm going to do, let's see, yep. I'm going to kind of curl these a little bit just to make them a little bit flexible, especially since I've doubled over the paper. And then we're going to do this kind of just like we did the Easter basket card. If you've been following me for a while, we're going to take these and kind of twist it around and adhere it like this. Now, again, you could use eyelets or whatever you like. I'm just going to use glue because I don't know what my decorating is going to be. All right, so I'm going to put some adhesive there. I think I'm going to use one of these clips to hold that. While I twist this around and get that adhered. Okay, just going to hold these down. I'll be back. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side since this is taking some time to hold this down, and I'll be back. So I have the little handles all on, and I actually went ahead and just added some decorative pieces on the inside of this as well. Next thing we're going to do is add the holes to the little basket here. And I have a decorative piece to go on the back side and the front. Remember that when you adhere this, you know, it will show white if you're using a white cardstock, but if you're using something else, then you don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and add this piece to the white cardstock. When you go to cut this out, make sure it is 3 inches in width. That will match the width of the basket here. Okay, now that I have that on, I'm going to adhere this to the back. Now, I did this in a squared off fashion, but you could certainly do it in a different way, such as this, which has a diagonal cut to it, but whatever you like. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add the decorative piece to the back, and I'm going to have to cut this one down, but I'm going to wait till I get it glued on to do that. just cut this off. We're going to add this to the back. Figure out where I want it. And I think I'll have it go right there. Okay. So I'm just going to put my finger here where I want it so that I know to have the glue come down to that. If you use hot glue, that's fine. I personally don't think that holds for a very long time. So that's why I'm using art glitter glue. And then just line that up. And make sure it's straight and level. And then I put my fingers on the inside and I'm pushing down with the bone folder on the outside. So there we have our Memory Decks card. And now what we're going to do is create the little mini album that goes on the inside. So let's get started on that. To create the mini album, we're going to need a decorative piece for the cover. And this is 3.5 by 7.5. You will need 2 chipboard pieces that are 2.5 by 2.5. And you will need 1 chipboard piece that is 1 by 2.5. That is 1 by 2.5. And then you'll need 1 decorative piece that is 2.5 by 6, and that will be the inside cover. Okay, so just to get these level, I am going to use a ruler, and I'm going to go in about 3/4 of an inch this way. And then that way it allows me to get a nice straight edge. I've already put some score tape on the back of this chipboard. Leaving about 1/8 of an inch or maybe less between the front and the back pieces of chipboard for the spine. This piece didn't go all the way down, so I'm just going to add a little bit of glue there. And there we go. Just going to give this a burnish. Next, what I do is I usually take my bone folder and I run it across the outside of the chipboard pieces. It helps when you go to fold them over. And I'm going to go ahead and add my adhesive around the edges of this, and I'll be right back. I don't have a corner miter, but that's what we're going to do here, is just kind of miter the edges. So we're just going to cut at an angle here. We're going to leave just a little bit right there to fold in. And I usually like to kind of just work the paper over, get it trained a little bit before I start adhering the glue. Okay, and I usually start with the long edge first. So I'm going to add wet glue here at the top, and that will give it a nice seal. And then we'll pull this down and burnish that. Now when we go to do the edge, what we're going to do is just tuck this little piece in right here at the edge, right there. Just tuck that in. See, this is what it looks like, and then we're going to push down and tuck it in there. And we'll go ahead and pull this over. Well, let's do this side first and then we can do both ends. Okay. And just a little bit of glue. So any of the quarters tuck in. I'll just go ahead and do them all so I don't forget. There we go. I'll pull this one over. And there we go. All right. Here we go. Let's add our other piece. You know what? I'm going to cut this down a little bit because I'd like to see more, just a little bit of the edge here. Much better. Okay, so we'll just take off the adhesive backing. Oop. And add this. Okay, now what we'll do is start to slowly work the bends here. There we go. Let's do the next one. And now we have our cover for our mini album. That's super cute. I love this small size. Now that we have the mini album cover complete, the next thing we would do would be to add binding to add our pages. Well, I was trying something out and it actually worked. So I will show you instead on this one how I created this binding. So this is elastic cording. I used Maker's Holiday. I got this at Michael's, I don't know when, a long time ago. And I added the gold elastic, and I did it in a fashion to where I didn't have to tie off each loop, that I could have one continuous loop, tied it off out here, added a little charm, and I'm thinking I'm going to add a ribbon or something to hide the little knot there. But I kind of like the way that looks on the outside. It just gives it some nice interest, and I thought I would do that on this one to show you what I did. So the first thing I did was I put a bit of extra elastic on the outside, and I held it here. I used this neat little clip, and then I just strung it five times around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I cut off some extra here as well, just to be safe. So I really don't know what the measurement of that is. I just, wrapped it around 5 times, not real tight and not real loose. So then I took the 2 ends and I tied them together. Just one time, put a knot. When I have my first knot, then I added the charm onto one of the little loops, and then I tied it off one more time. And then now that hangs. I think I tied it off one more time just to be certain. I know it's hard to show that. But that's it. Let's see, I'll cut this off. Okay, and then I took the strings and kind of spaced them apart on the spine. Like that. And on the inside. So that's how I ended up with this type of binding for our pages, which we will do next. For the pages of this mini album, we need to then select our paper and cut it down to be 2 by 4 inches, and you will need 5 of those. Now, because I have single-sided decorative paper, I went through and picked out 2 for each page, and I'm going to back them together and cut them down and actually sew around them as well. So that's how you can do both of those styles, double-sided or single-sided decorative paper. So I'll cut these down and get them sewn, and I'll be back. So I started to cut down my paper to the 2 by 4 size that the original creator stated were the pages. And when you put it in your album, it really leaves a lot of room. I mean, you have basically a 1/2 inch from the edge of the mini album. Well, I thought that was wasted space. So what I've decided to do was to create mine 2 by 4.5. It gives it an additional 1/4 of an inch. You see here, if you fold it over, you still have plenty of room. Even when you fold up the mini album, you have a 1/4 of an inch here instead of 1/2 an inch. That way, if you added something that went over the edge, it would still be within the confines of the mini album and not sticking out. So I'm going to change these measurements to 2 by 4.5. I have my pages all cut down, and I went ahead and sewed them. Now, before I sewed them, I actually did score at 2 1/4 inches, but I thought I might go over it one more time before I start to fold these. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of these. Okay, and I have put them all in the order that I wanted them to appear, and I've kind of coordinated the fronts and backs, and then the back with the next front, just so that it would look cohesive. Now, we can take the time to put these in our little mini album, but what I'm going to do is go through and do a little bit of decorating and then put them in. Okay, so as I was decorating this mini album, my camera battery died, so I didn't get all of the decorating that I did, but most of it. So sorry about that, but here is the final version of the mini album, and I do believe I captured decorating the front here. I made it a little bit of a dimensional topping so that we could have our closure here. This is just a wraparound band, and then it tucks underneath there to close the little mini album. You really don't need a closure, seeing how we're putting it in that little basket box like thing. Here is our butterfly on the back. I did add just a touch of ribbon there, and I think that looks really cute. Here's how the back looks when we add that. So let's go inside. Here is the front cover. I did add another little sticker here. I think it needed a little something. And we added some ribbon to this one. And if you notice, I did add washi to each of the spines, just for some more decoration. On the inside here, we have this cute little tag. So cute. It even has the stitching around it. And we made this little tuck spot with the collaging. We did some layering here with the chipboard piece and some floral. Here's some other floral, and I just added glue to the outsides of this so it could be a little tuck spot. And this little tag that says ticket on it right there. So cute. Here I added a sentiment and a little gemstone there. A dimensional puffy sticker there. And here I really love how this turned out with the ribbon cascading, and we added a paper bow here and a gem, and over here we just have this little bingo insert with a little gemstone there. Or enamel dot, I'm sorry, those are enamel dots. And here we go to the next one, just like magic, just little collaging there. Here I cut out a photo frame, and I left it open on all three sides, and part of the, only glued it at the very bottom so that you could tuck a little photo in there. Really cute. Did some layering of a puffy sticker and a foam, dimensional foam item there. Now this is a frame, and I did the same thing so that you could tuck a photo in there as well. Put this little love this arrow there. You could always add a photo here. And on the back side, I didn't film this, but I did add a little pocket, and I used the Martha Stewart punch to make that decorative edge and inserted this little tag there. And so that is our mini album. And I didn't get to film how I decorated the top, but on the back I added some pom-pom trim, some rhinestones on all of the straps, and then I did a fan fold of some cardstock here to give some height, added a floral and a chipboard butterfly, chipboard spread love with an enamel dot here, and used the Maggie Holmes star ribbon going across the back and some pom-pom trim down here on the bottom. I love how that turned out, and our little mini album just fits right in there. So adorably cute. I love this Memory Decks card. So if you love this Memory Decks mini album as much as I did, let me know down below, and I will choose a winner. You must be subscribed to my channel and like this video, and I'll let you know who the lucky winner is for our National Scrapbooking Day. Thank you all for joining me. See you next time.